Hi guys, this is part 3 of the Lightroom mobile demo. So first I'm going to just open my Lightroom mobile. Okay, if you're in the middle of something, it might just go back to that screen. If you want to get back to the home, you can just keep hitting the back arrow button at the top left, and then you'll see the home button right there. Okay, if you go to the home, you're going to see recently added photos. And then next to that, you'll also see your full library, so you can access your photo that you're working on either way. Okay, so I'm going to continue working on this photo. What we're on now is detail. Okay, so detail is the button I've clicked on the bottom. So you can see I've already done some of the settings on this photo, so I'm going to undo them so that you can see me work on it. Okay, there's two things in this menu under detail. You have sharpening, and then you have noise reduction, which you can do general noise reduction or also color noise reduction. First, I'm going to talk about sharpening. So when you're going to sharpen an image, I would first really strongly recommend that you zoom in, because you could over sharpen the image potentially. So you can use your fingers to pinch and expand. And I'm just going to look at her skin as I sharpen, because I don't want it to get pixelated or look like it has noise either. So I'm just going to slowly bring the sharpening up. And that's probably about good for this photo. I'm just going to go more extreme first so you guys can see. You'll start to see some graininess, what it looks like if you go too high with the sharpening, but you'll really only see that if you've zoomed in a lot. So I want to make sure you do zoom in, because if you ever want to look at this photo on a bigger screen that you're editing, it'll be more obvious. Okay, once you've added some sharpening, the other sliders below will be activated. So the radius, if you increase the radius, it's going to make the sharpening even stronger. So I generally just leave the radius at 1. I can maybe go a little bit higher, but again, if I go too extreme, it's going to over sharpen the image. Okay, and then the detail slider, if I bring that up, it's again going to add another additional level of sharpening. I just need to be careful that I'm not going too extreme there. Okay, the fourth slider here is masking. So if I add masking, what's going to happen is it will only sharpen specific areas of the photo. It's going to be generally like the outlines of things. The higher I go with masking, the more is masked. And the lower I go, that means everything in the photo is being sharpened, nothing is being masked. So if you do higher sharpening, what you may want to do is then add masking so that it's not going to sharpen things like people's skin and look grainy, that it will just sharpen things like edges of eyes, if you're photographing like an object, the edge of the object, things like that. Okay, now I don't have noise in this photo, but pretending that I did, again, I would want to zoom in. You can see it's a little bit grainy, which is similar to noise. So if I wanted to use the noise reduction slider, if I bring it over, it's going to soften that noise. Since I don't really have any, it's not doing much to the image, but if you shoot in low light, especially with your phone, you're probably going to see noise, and you may want to handle it this way. Okay, when I activate the noise reduction, I'll also have a detail and a contrast slider that I can play with to get the noise reduction to look better. And then below that, if you see colored noise, that one's really kind of nasty looking. It's red and green dots. Again, you don't see it here, but if you see it in your photo when you zoom in, I definitely would use some color noise reduction. It just makes the image quality look really bad. Another way you can handle color noise, if the photo looks good in black and white, that may be another thing you can try if this color noise reduction doesn't work well. Okay, so once you activate that color noise reduction, again, you'll have some additional sliders. You have your detail slider. You can add smoothness as well here. Okay, so I'm going to take that back down to 0 because I don't have any color noise. Okay, the next one over is optics. Okay, this one's really simple. So these are some lens errors that can happen. The first one is chromatic aberration. So what that's going to look like, if you zoom in on your photo, look at the edges of things. If you shoot backlit, and once we're using real cameras with a low f-stop, then you might see some chromatic aberration. It looks like either green or magenta lines around something. So I don't see any in my photo, mainly because this is a camera phone. So I can turn it on. It's not going to do anything bad, but I don't really need it. If you aren't sure, you can always just turn it on. The other one, enable lens corrections. What that's going to do is fix any warping of the image because of the lens, and also possibly any unwanted vignetting. So you can always turn that on. It looks very similar, but it does correct a little bit of warping in there. Okay, the next one over that you have for free is presets. We don't have geometry in the free version, so presets is the next one. Okay, presets, you have the free ones that are included in Lightroom Mobile, and you can just click them and try them. So that's just like a preset edit that you possibly might like. If you don't like it, at the top right, you have your back arrow. Okay, you can try the next one. Don't like it, undo. And what I would suggest is if you are going to do something like this, you try these first. And then you can, like, let's say you like vivid, but you think the oranges are too strong. Then you could go in your color panel and you could reduce the saturation of the oranges. Okay. All right, so if you find something that you do like, you can hit the check mark. If you're just undoing because you didn't want to use any of those, then you can hit the X mark at the bottom left. Check mark to apply something. So if I do vivid, you can see the check mark is active now. And then if you didn't do anything, you just hit the X at the bottom left. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of the edits, we're ready to export the photo. So here's the thing about all Lightroom Mobile and full version on the computer, Creative Cloud. The photo doesn't actually exist on any other area of your phone, computer, whatever, unless you export it. And the benefit of that is that you can change things still on that photo. Once you export it, it has all of those edits applied, but like I could undo the last things that I did in here and it's not going to like change it on my phone. It just changes it within the app and then I can export different versions. So I'll show you that. Okay, so at the top right, there's a series of buttons. One of them looks like a download button. It's an up arrow with a square around it. If you click that, you're going to have some options of where you can export it. I would suggest you just export it to your camera roll because once it's in your camera roll, then you can post it, you know, put it places, turn it into My Connect, put it on your Instagram, things like that. If you wanted to directly share it to another program or an application, you could with the Share To or Open In. Okay, down at the bottom, Export As, I want to show you this real quick. Okay, if you click on that, you can change your file settings here. So the defaults are fine. You do want to export it as a JPEG. You don't want to change that part. For the dimensions, I would just go with the largest available, just in case you want to do something like print this photo later. If you knew you were just going to post it on social media, small is fine though. Okay, and then image quality. Usually 80% is fine. If you want to go higher on the image quality, you can. Remember, if you export it and then you're like, oh, that doesn't look good when I look at it on a bigger screen, you can re-export it. You're not stuck there. Okay, if you go into more options, there's some more advanced things here, which you don't need to worry about right now. But do notice the default at the bottom color space says sRGB. We definitely want to leave that alone. We don't want to change that. Okay, so if I hit the check mark at the top right, it's going to automatically then export to my camera roll. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so you can see it's just exporting. It's going to take a moment. Okay. And then if I wanted to send it to somebody here, I could. I'm just going to click Save Image. Okay, so now it's saved to my camera roll. Okay, let's say I'm like, oh, I want to do a second version of this photo. So I want to go into color and I want to make it warmer. Okay, so that's a little bit different than the other version. And I want to go into light and I want a little less contrast. Okay. All right, now what I can do is export the second version. So I'm going back to the top at the download button. I'm clicking it. And I already know my export settings are fine. So this time I'm just going to export to camera roll directly. Okay, so it's exported. So now if I go to my camera roll, okay, I can go to photos or camera, whichever. I can see that I have multiple versions of this photo that I've just exported. So here's the first one, and then here's the second one where I made it a little bit warmer and decreased the contrast. Okay. All right, so that's it for the Lightroom mobile demo for today. I'm gonna do one more because I wanna show you the tutorials that are available in the app, and I'll show you that in a fourth video. Have a good day.